Hello, everybody. My name is Donna McCormick. I'm the Executive Director of Hamptons Observatory, and I'd like to welcome you to tonight's event, which is presented by Hamptons Observatory and our wonderful co-host, the Amateur Astronomers Association, which is based in New York. Fabulous group. Um, well, for those of you who don't know, Hamptons Observatory is a New York State nonprofit organization based in East Hampton, New York. Formed about 20 years ago for the purpose of fostering interest in science in general and astronomy in particular. And to that end, we hold public events, high quality lectures such as this one, star parties. Um, Occasionally, we'll do portable planetarium shows, and we've been trying to get an observatory off the ground as well. We don't charge anything for any of our public events. We don't even charge dues. We just rely on the generous donations of people such as yourself. So if you'd like to learn more about our organization, you can visit our website. I posted the address in the chat. And you can also go to the website of the AAA, which I've also posted in the chat. So I've asked if you can turn off your microphones, please. Any questions you have, please post them in the chat and we'll do our best to address them after the lecture. I guess that's it for now. I'm going to just turn this over to Stan Honda, who's a board member of the AAA, and he'll be saying a few words about that organization as well as our wonderful speaker, George Preoteasa. Thank you.
Thanks, Donna. AAA, the Amateur Astronomers Association, we're also a 503c nonprofit, and we try to promote astronomy and science in general. We have a lot of public observing events all around New York City. Check out the website, AAA.org, and you'll see all the different locations. We're in some very big locations like Lincoln Center and the High Line, Brooklyn Bridge Park, and pretty much every week there's several different observing sites where members take telescopes and public could look through the telescopes. So if you're anywhere near New York City, check us out. I'm also, as Donna said, a board member of the AAA, and I help organize the astrophotography group. We have this subgroup in the club, which is pretty active. And George is a real active member of the astrophotography group. He's also a resident cloud expert with a background in atmospheric physics. And he's also a member of the Cloud Appreciation Society, which has some pretty interesting posts about different clouds. George also helps run the AAA members observing session, which we do at North South Lake and the Catskills on a monthly basis during the warmer months. And as I've seen it over the years that I've known George, he takes many far-flung trips, and he awes us with many of his posts, photographs from those trips. And for the AAA, he's talked about night sky photography, chasing sprites, which are pretty interesting, time-lapse videos, and more subjects. So take a look at George's bio on the Hampton Observatory website under this event, and you can learn more about George. And also definitely check out his Instagram and Vimeo accounts, because he posts some great photos, and also I think some of the videos that you'll be seeing tonight. And I do like this quote from George, which he compares to 2 careers that he's had. And I think this could apply to many of us. He says, the first is a profession where you observe things many miles away. The latter is one where you look at a screen 18 inches away. Going outside to look at and photograph things in the sky provided the necessary counterbalance. I think that's a great way to look at it. And so here's George.
Hey, thank you. I'm absolutely delighted to be here and to have been invited. It was a bit of a surprise, but I'm really happy to be here. And now we're going to look at distant objects from 18 inches in front of a screen. Anyway, so who am I? Let me try to start my presentation here. So I'm going to share my screen. and maximize my presentation. All right. Can somebody confirm you see my presentation?
Looks good, George.
Okay. All right. So at this point, I do not see you anymore. I do not mind if you interrupt me, quick questions. And of course, I'll be available at the end too. So, as Stan said, I was involved with meteorology. I worked for a brief period after finishing college at the Romanian Weather Service, and it was fun. I was operating a radar, and I could see the storms on the radar, and I could see the actual clouds approach. I learned a few things about clouds there, not only the physics, but also their shapes and how to recognize different types. And they kind of stuck with me. I always wanted to take pictures of them, and that led me to actually buying a serious camera, an interchangeable lens camera, in 2017. And I was following, and I still do, Earth and Sky, and I got on their bandwagon. They every issue they have, here is the moon, here is Mars, here is whatever, and kind of trying to get people to take pictures of these sky events. Here's one, a very new moon. It helps that I was working close to Battery Park. I'm right next to Battery Park, and and actually I was at the 18th floor. I had a great view there. Another event, lunar eclipse. This is the total lunar eclipse of 2018, of which we did not see the totality. We only saw just the beginning, and then the moon set. But it was really interesting and nice colors. An important milestone was my trip in 2018, in December 2018, to Yellowknife. This is way up north in Canada. Yellowknife is a place where people go to see the aurora, 62 degrees of latitude, right under the aurora oval. And my pictures came out pretty good. By that time, I had learned more about exposure and all the settings and so on. It was very cold, but uh, what really made me do something about astronomy was the stars that I saw there. The stars were so incredibly bright through that cold air. They were, the word that I'm using, they were piercing. It 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 was just amazing. Um, and coming back, I decided, okay, I'm going to get involved with astronomy one way or another. So that's when I joined the AAA, and that led to more things. Later, so there was 2018 and 2019. With the AAA has this dark sky observing place in the Catskills, North-South Lake. And I took a trip there, and I had opportunities to practice my photography in dark skies, with surrounded by people, other people that were doing similar things, learning from them. And later on, by the way, I took the night sky photography class or classes, because I attended twice with Stan. And by 2019, I don't think he was offering them, or at least I didn't catch them at that time. So this is my first Milky Way picture from North-South Lake, and I still think it came out pretty good. Now, on a parallel track, uh, back to my weather, my fascination with weather. I was following a fellow by the name of Mike Olbinski, who I think is the best um, time-lapse photographer and photographer in general of storms. These are huge storms. They're called supercells. And he's taking time lapses of them. He's traveling for weeks. It's nice that he always mentions his wife for allowing him to do that. If you look up vorticity on YouTube, you'll see he's up to vorticity 5, just amazing. Another fellow that I was following is Adrien Mauduit, a French guy who decided to move to Norway to photograph the aurora, to get involved with the aurora. He was, and he probably still does that, an aurora guide. He's doing incredible work in astrophotography as well. Um, and this is another thing that you see up north that is very hard to catch. He's got a whole little movie about it, and this is the polar stratospheric clouds. They occur only in winter at high latitudes and not very often. So that led me to basically try to do my own time lapses. So what's special about time lapses? Um, just to not to spend too much time on this, I say that if a picture is worth 1,000 words, a time lapse is worth 1,000 pictures. And that can be literally, as I will demonstrate in just a couple of slides. Time is, the fourth dimension, and time lapse shows you how things evolve around that fourth dimension. Just a couple of things really briefly. There are some special settings. We start with taking pictures at night. It's dark. You need to do long exposure. You need a tripod. You need fast lenses, meaning that get a lot of light in. And e- the I give an example there of settings. Do quite a bit of experimentation. That would be basically a starting point. You go up and down with the settings as you check your results and the histogram. Now, you manage to take a picture, a good picture at night. What's next? Well, you have to take a few of those, quite a few of those. And here I have a little calculation that shows that to make a clip of 10 seconds, you need 240 frames, assuming that you play them back at 24 frames per second, which is a normal rate. Um, the That's just the beginning. You now have one clip. Maybe you're going to make another one and another one. You you will want to put them into like a little movie. You will want to edit them as a movie, not just the individual frames. And then perhaps you add some music, which sound that, or some other sound, which will make the person who's watching this be a little more transported into the show. What are the impediments? What are the traps? Well, light pollution, I think, is number one. This is the light pollution map. New York is the white zone. It's pretty bad. The good zones, the I don't know if you can see my cursor in Pennsylvania. And this is around Cherry Springs, certified dark sky park, where people like to go. The Catskills, and to the north, the Adirondacks. I hope I'm pointing to the right place there. When you take time lapses, you also have to be very careful with your surrounding, because it's not just one frame. You're going to be shooting for an hour or more, and you have to be quiescent. No lights around. Hopefully, there are no cars passing nearby, or people moving around with their own light. And even a little bit, even if they don't get into the frame, even a little bit will be recorded. Cameras are very sensitive. That's what you want, right? You're shooting at night. You cannot move the camera. If you move the camera, the clip is going to be jumpy. You can adjust some settings very gently and then smooth things out. You can adjust exposure time. You can smooth them out then later in software. So time-lapse presents more difficulties, but time-lapse is also a little more forgiving, because frames go by fast. If there is a little defect, it's a little harder to notice. The other thing is that the star trails are not an issue. That's part of the movement. The frames blend into each other. I'm going to skip this. Really, this is a small detail. Once you have a clip, you want to make things look even, you want to add even more motion. You want to be panning or zooming. A frame that is static is a little boring. And before we go to the actual examples here, I want to just make this distinction. So what I do, I call night sky landscape photography. The word that people use for this and for other type of photography is astrophotography. So I like to be a little more precise, and I call, if you want to take a picture of the Andromeda galaxy, I call that imaging. Is that a time lapse? I don't know. I mean, you take a lot of pictures, but you don't take pictures with the idea of showing motion. On the contrary, you don't want motion when you photograph the deep sky objects. So I'm going to start by showing you a video of the Milky Way. This is one of my first ones in 2021. If you remember, that was the year when travel reopened, and I really jumped on it. Well, Sen mentioned that I travel a lot. I don't really travel a lot, maybe 2, maybe 3 times a year. So, but I make the most out of these trips. I take the trips where I want to do photography, and I'm very lucky to have a very understanding wife who comes with me, and she's just as happy to be there. So, you mentioned a couple of things about the Milky Way. I call these phases. Milky Way has phases, but they are not really phases. The Milky Way is in different places in the sky every month, every season. You can see the part that most people want to photograph, which is the core, here to the right of the picture. And that core is visible from March to about October. at our latitude at 40 degrees or so. This picture is a panel taken in May. Later on, the Milky Way is really high up, going overhead. You cannot do a picture. You cannot do a panel anymore. You can do time lapses of the core moving across, and so on. Then there is also the so-called winter Milky Way. It's what we see in winter in our winter in the northern hemisphere. What happens is that during the summer month at night, we see towards the core of the galaxy. In winter, we see towards the outside of the galaxy. So the Milky Way appears less populated. We have a nice substitute though. We have Orion, the Orion constellation, which has a lot of nice and interesting stuff. So let me play you this video. It's more or less all the clips that I made during that 2021. It's a little bit uneven, I have to say, but there are some nice ones. Hopefully, it's going to show all right. The total eclipse, total lunar eclipse.
George,
So, yeah.
There is a question, actually a couple questions in the chat. Do you want to take those now?
Sure. Can you read them to me?
Sure. Barry asks, how long is an average exposure, and how do you decide on the time between each exposure?
Uh, I would say I put that example there, 15 seconds. May You may want to go 20 seconds or sometimes even up to 30 seconds. I don't go over 30 seconds because my camera does not. We have to go with an intervalometer, external intervalometer, but 20 seconds is fairly usual. It depends on how bright the object is. And what was the second part?
Let's see. How do you decide on the time between each exposure, the interval?
So the interval is the length of the exposure. So you're taking the frames. As soon as one frame ends, you take the next one. So you adjust your intervalometer so that there is the absolutely minimal gap. The built-in intervalometer that I have on my Sony camera will do just that. So it won't pause. There is, of course, there is a short, very short gap, a sub-second
Do you
gap.
hear music or is that from your movie? Somebody,
My movie has music, yes. I
how did
added them.
that happen? Ginger?
Oh,
Do
that's
you have a
all.
question? Do you have a question? Go ahead, George.
Okay. So yeah, there is sound, and sound is an important component. I call it the secret sauce. Um, so this was a compilation. And as I mentioned, the Milky Way is different. Almost every month you can tell the difference. And the next year I wanted to do a like every month. I never got to it, but this is the March one. The other thing that I decided is that I'm gonna make a little story around it. It's not just here's the Milky Way, but more like here's my trip and experience.
One question, George, was about the locations. Maybe you could just mention locations when we see the images.
Sure, this is in New Jersey, Island Beach. In the other movie was New Mexico, Arizona, California, then a few shots in my backyard, North-South Lake, Adirondacks, and that's all that comes to mind right now. So this is at the beach in New Jersey. It's pretty bright, but that's in the middle of the night. And here's the Milky Way core. So
Couple
yeah,
more questions here, George.
yeah.
So what white balance setting do you use?
Uh, I I struggle with that a little bit, but I do the basically the daytime white balance. Um, I the editing that comes after is where I adjust everything, the white balance. I have an Astro modified camera, which means that it allows in a little more red than usual, so my white balance is a little bit off anyway. So, but
Yeah.
it's basically the daytime white balance.
Couple more. What music soundtrack, and then the question about the motion. So, what music soundtrack do you use?
I have a subscription at Epidemic Music, I think it's called, and you pay and then you can download any of their music things. They have hundreds. And finding the right music is very time consuming because I have to listen and listen and listen, and maybe you'll notice I will actually reuse some because I'm just tired of looking for new stuff. They have a search, and you can a search facility, so you can say something uplifting or something like that.
Uh,
Yep.
so Michael asks, to be clear, the motion is added in post-processing, correct?
Not always. Sometimes it's not. I don't remember this in particular, but yeah. So basically, what you do, you have a wider picture, and then you crop the first frame, and then you crop the last frame, and then the software will move from the first frame to the last frame, doing interpolation for each frame. I'm also, if you noticed, I'm also tracking occasionally, and then you see the ground moving.
Yeah. And what lenses do you use mostly?
Uh, I have an assortment of lenses, but the one that I'm constantly going to is the 14 millimeter, Sony 14 millimeter lens. But the 24 I use also, and I have a 12, and I have some pictures. When we get to Aurora, you'll see I have fisheye. I'm, I'm open to all sorts. But if I had one lens, I'll keep the 14 millimeter.
Great, great. And that's on a full frame camera.
It's on a full frame, yes.
Okay. That's it for the chat questions for now.
Okay. So these are kind of like I would call them a full feature. Uh, um, but I also do like short clips that I like that kind of like show uh, quick changes. So I this one, it's North-South Lake, and nobody came at the outing because it was going to be cloudy, but I knew that it was going to clear. So I went especially to catch this clearing moment. By the way, all those flying things are not meteors. They are satellites, airplanes, and such. And here's another one. This was actually in um, San Pedro de Atacama. I tried to track the core. The first night, there were clouds in San Pedro de Atacama. So I wasn't really happy. This is with an 85 millimeter lens. So I tried the same thing again next day. You see the core sort of upside down here because we are in the southern hemisphere. Mike Ackerberg can explain that. moving on. The moon is pretty difficult to photograph, and it seems simple, but if you want to do a time lapse, the moon will change brightness. It will go from barely noticeable to extremely bright. So everything around it is going to be black in a picture. If you adjust your exposure for the moon, it's going to be black. Here's a little poetic clip. You'll see how things change. The moon is, at first, you can see the whole scenery, barely notice the moon. And then as the night progresses, gets relatively brighter to the surrounding. By the way, I carry multiple cameras, so I try to take advantage, take several clips. Occultations. So an occultation is when one celestial object goes in front of another one and it obscures it. You don't see it anymore. An interesting situation is, and I wouldn't say frequent, but it happens maybe a few times in somebody's lifetime, is the moon occultating Mars or Jupiter or Saturn. And I've seen some amazing pictures, static pictures with, for instance, Saturn half disappearing behind the moon. I don't have that kind of instruments, but I did try to do the basically show how Mars is covered by the moon, and again made a little story of it. For this, this was one of the trips that I took. Especially for that, I went to Arizona. The sky was actually covered, and these clouds that you see, they retreated at the very last moment. And there is Mars, an hour or so before. And here's the time lapse. The whole motion is accelerated. I like that you can see Mars is a little red. This was shot with a very small telescope, a 180 millimeter focal length, on chip tracker, Ioptron Sky Tracker Pro. But I used a camera with 60 megapixels, so that allowed me to blow it up more. And a little catch here, the airplane that crossed.
Very
And a
nice.
lunar, thank you.
Very nice, George. Stephen asks, I think this is probably for more of the Milky Way pictures. Do you use a light pollution filter?
No, I did not. I try to go to places where I do not have to. Even in my backyard, which is portal 4 to 5, I still don't use a filter. Maybe I should try one day, but I tried using a filter early on, and I didn't like how it changed the colors. Plus,
Yeah,
my
I found that.
my favorite lens doesn't take a filter. So this is the total lunar eclipse that Stan and I went to in New Mexico. And we went to New Mexico because of the clear skies. But what happened there was there was a wildfire that you can see in the distance. And everything was fine the day before. That's where the moon would have been during the eclipse. However, the wind changed. The person in the back there moving is Stan.
Sorry about that, George.
No, I think it's interesting. It was really eerie.
Yeah, I think I remember even when the moon wasn't totally eclipsed, it was still very red.
Yes, I think I'll show here. So this is the moon. There's a bit of clear sky, a natural eclipse moon red. By the way, notice how it's moving between stars. And now the shadow is moving away, and I'm adjusting the exposure, and the moon is still red because of the smoke. So Stan, you are exactly what I needed there, a little patch of red to balance the image.
Anytime, George. Here's a good, actually a good question about the occultation video. Christopher asks, don't have the right words, but was it a challenge to capture Mars on the same time lapse as the moon, given the brightness of the moon?
You know, that's a great question. I could not, with my own eyes, the moon was incredibly bright at that point. It was really high. And I could not tell if Mars had been, swallowed by the moon or not. I just relied on the timing, and I took, quite a bit of time before and after in the time lapse to catch the two moments. It was so bright I could not see Mars. But somehow the camera did not have a problem with that. If I think adjusting for the moon allowed Mars to be seen as well. A couple of other time-lapse opportunities. Lunar standstill. So that's when, how can I explain this? The full moon is at its lowest. How do you show that? I took a time lapse, and this arch, the highest point on that arch is less than 20 degrees. That's the full moon, the day of the standstill. So there's a lunar cycle. It's called, I think, nodal cycle. That's 18 years. In 9 years, we're going to have, I guess, the reverse, the moon at the same time. It's going to be time of the year. It's going to be at the highest. By the way, this is in summer. In winter, the moon would be the highest, I think. I hope I'm not messing this up.
I think you're right, George, because the occultation of Mars this year was I think it was in January, and the moon was like 55 degrees or even higher in the sky. It was high.
Yeah. So the other one is the lunar transit. I don't know how well you can see, but you have, I think, nine pictures of the ISS crossing the moon. Those pictures are taken in less than 1 second and then stacked. It is, you have to position yourself right. There is a site that will tell you what your best position is and the time. And you put the camera on high speed and start a few seconds before and let it run another second or two after, and then you hope and pray when you go home that you'll find that you caught the shadow. Let me move on here for to cover some other things in the night sky. I have this drawing by Trouvelot on my wall because I like it so much. It's not so green. It's more like black, gray, black. So Trouvelot is famous for drawing celestial objects. He's also infamous for bringing the let me try to be correct here, the sponge moth in this country. He wanted to do something some silk something. Anyway, the zodiacal light is mostly more seen. First, it's got to be very dark. Then it's apparently brighter in around the equinoxes. So in March, I went to the Catskills, a trailhead that I am familiar with, in an open field, and I did this. It's actually I played twice, once in color, once black and white. It's hard. I mean, it's maybe not that noticeable. So you saw the beam. I'll try to point it out on the. Here's the beam of light. Points to the Pleiades for some reason. Comets. I like to say that comets are like candy for photographers like us. This one is Neowise.
That's a great shot.
Yeah. Well, I have to say that the Big Dipper was there, but I did enhance the stars a little bit to make it more observable. But that's it's one shot. It's not made up. So this was one outing that impromptu. Several of us went to a place above Ellenville in New York, a nice viewpoint, and I took this shot. But then we went again to Ashokan, and while I was trying to take pictures with a tracker and the telescope of the comet, I also started time lapse, and this is what I got. It's very short, but I really like it. See how things move. I'll play this again. I was very happy that Joe Rayo, who's famous astronomer and meteorologist. Oop, it froze for some reason. I don't know, it's freezing, so I'm going to just stop here. Joe Rayo admired it. I feel really happy about that. I mentioned during the eclipse movie that I like to see how objects are moving through the stars. And here's a comet. This is ZTF, I think, that I just wanted to do that. I wanted to show how the comet moves through the stars. So the movement is quite apparent in a few hours. Only the moon, as far as I can tell, and comets, you can actually catch this movement. Obviously, the planets have also more relative motion, but I think it's much slower. You need a much longer time lapse for that. And then Suchinshan just last year. Tsuchinshan had a long tail and it had an anti-tail. It's like the beam that comes in front of it. It's barely noticeable, but it is noticeable.
Another amazing photography.
Oh, thank you.
Here's a question, George. Alberto says, amazing work. How much time do you typically spend in post-production for time lapses?
Oh, maybe days, because well, I have a job, so but it for one clip, I may spend an evening. If it's something that I don't like about it and I want to correct and so on, definitely I would spend an evening for one clip. So several clips, 3, 4, 5, and then to put them together. By the way, to put I accumulate a few. I decide on a theme. I accumulate a few. I'll make the draft if you want, and I'll have a look at it. And then I start cutting out. This doesn't fit. This is not good enough. And then I agonize about the music. So let's say that I have the whole thing. Then I show it to my wife, my critic, and she says, "Oh, looks great, honey." And then yeah, I'm happy with that. Or she says, "Meh." Or says, well, this thing doesn't belong there, or whatever. So I make adjustments. This is a little bit of an aside. The ultimate time lapse with a pinhole camera, which you see on the left there, which I kept covered, and every day I would go and uncover it for 15 minutes at noon. At 1 o'clock during the DST, so that we're actually on the real noon. And what do I get? I got the sun's analemma. Everybody knows what the analemma is, right? And what causes it? Basically, the up and down is due to the inclination of the rotation axis of the Earth. The right and left is due to the fact that the Earth moves around the sun on an ellipse. So at sometimes when it's close to the focus of the eclipse, which is basically in winter, moves faster, and in the summer moves slower. So that combined with the rotation of the Earth, it kind of gives this effect. I'm still working on San Alema. I got 2 or 3 more. I wasn't happy with that one. I think I can do better. Another thing in the sky, a SAR arc, stable aurora red arc. If you got out on, I think it was October 10, there was an absolutely incredible SAR arc that was visible if it was dark enough. But this is not aurora, this is something else. This is caused by a current that moves around the Earth, and it gets accelerated, and because of higher speed, produces some thermal effects. It's interesting how it got overlap over the Milky Way here, although there is no relation with it. And between the trees, you can see the actual aurora. And this is a little clip, a camera that I left in my backyard while I went somewhere else to get a more scenic. So the SAR arc just lifted up, and the aurora is soon coming. There are some clouds, but I think it's visible. I cut off the end of this clip. It was a little longer. There were a couple of deer eating grass in here. So this is the SAR arc that I mentioned, October 10, I believe. This is Bashakil, a natural something or other. And it's on Route 17 in New York State near Ellenville. It's pretty close. And from one aurora to another one, I will start with the Yukon 24. So that was last year around this time. I was going to go this year too, and it would have been my 3rd time. And again, the Yukon is absolutely gorgeous. You will see the Yukon River. There is some merging that and it's already fall and things are turning. Tombstone Provincial Park in the distance. So this is the Yukon. Fisheye I mentioned, and this is on very bright moon. Generally, aurora photographers stay away from bright moon, but I went in knowing what, because you want the foreground, and the aurora was just magnificent. All visible naked eye. You don't see the colors really, but unless you have really good sensitivity, younger eyes. And the lenticular cloud. There is here a distant storm. Next shot right here. Will flash once. Yep. This is what's called a corona. It's right above.
Wow.
We had finished. We said, okay, let's go home, 2 a.m., whatever. And driving and looking out, I said, there is something happening. So pulled over. My wife was freaking out. Oh my God, the cars will be coming. Not one car passed in half an hour when I shot that last shot. Real time. This is a little clip in Yellowknife. I got sick in I actually was not even in Yellowknife. It was a remote location, and they sent me immediately to Yellowknife. I got COVID. No, I wasn't very sick. They sent me out because they didn't want to get sick. And then I couldn't leave anymore because the flights would not let you if you're sick. So you spend some time in Yellowknife. So pay attention. Soon something is going to happen. There you go.
Did you see that?
I hope you saw that. So we'll go out every night, basically. Let's take a walk. I'll take some pictures. And that night I try to make a movie. You can hear some dogs barking in the back. There were some buildings. This is in town. It's a park in town, but the buildings are really close.
Mamatus.
So that's an aurora that moves. Right. I have another one that I'll save for the end, the Blatchford Lodge. That's where I was the remote location. And in the middle of that, I realized that I was sick and they wanted me out. Back to the Aurora and the Milky Way, really. So this is from my trip last year in Chile. I've been in a couple of places, and San Pedro is one of them. Everybody was getting excited. I could see the mails coming, and I was in the south. They were excited about the event that was going to happen, the Aurora, and they were going out to Ashokan or whatever in the northern hemisphere. And there I am in really close to the equator, 23 degrees south. And I said, I got to try something. So I pointed my camera to the south, and this is what came out. There was some very distant aurora. All that red is not the normal color of the sky there. You can see the Magellanic Clouds floating. Magellanic Clouds are satellite galaxies of the Milky Way. So these are small galaxies. This picture on the side here, you can see a couple of really significant parts of the Milky Way, southern Milky Way. This is the famous coal sack, and right next to it, the Southern Cross. And this is the Carina Nebula, the largest nebula in the Milky Way. These are visible only if you go farther south. I don't know how far south, but probably past the equator. And this is the Large Magellanic Cloud and the Small Magellanic Cloud. Now, in the other location, I took an all-night Milky Way picture, and it went off the frame. It's so big, so high. Here comes the core, and the core goes way up. A little bit of zodiacal light on the left here before the day comes. It's like somebody turned on the light. How are we doing on time? Yeah, I think I'm going to skip this one. And I'm going to move to sprites. Does anybody not know what sprites are? Transient luminous effects. These things happen above storm clouds when there is a powerful cloud to ground positive lighting. Powerful. These things pop up for a fraction of a second. They are huge structures that can go from 20 miles to 60 miles. They reach the ionosphere. It's plasma moving at 1/10 of the speed of light. They were only discovered actually recorded on film in 1918, and people saw them and said, we have something here. And since then, there are a lot more pictures. I went in a couple of on a couple of workshops with Paul Smith, the absolute master of chasing sprites. You have to position yourself a certain way and to track the storm from a distance, basically over dark spaces, to put it succinctly. Because they're very short, the movie is not very, how should I say, artistic, but it kind of gives you an idea what it would look like. I hope this is visible, this sprite, and through Zoom. Stan, can you confirm you see this?
Yeah. Yeah, you see the flashes of the red.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Mostly in the center of the frame, is that right?
Yes, yes. The storm on the right was not the one generating the sprite. The storm will be generally so far away that you do not see it. You may see some glow from flashes. You'll see in my next one. I have another. So a couple of sprites that I managed to catch. Just incredible definition. It was a very lucky night, or a couple of very lucky nights, really, that we caught these. And I think this one on the left is an 85 millimeter lens. So basically, you take a time lapse and then you sort your frames and you see where you got something. This is called a jellyfish for, I think, obvious reasons. And I'm not sure what to call this one, but these things down here are called trolls. So speaking of sprites, this is one of those workshops with Paul, and this is in, by the way, the others we're also in Big Bend National Park in Texas, where it's very dark, beautiful place. And we had that distant storm, and Paul was swearing that it was going to produce sprites, and we're waiting and nothing was happening. But then he noticed, well, first of all, you can see the air glow, this green color that's called air glow, and it's fairly common in dark places. It's noticeable in dark places, but we notice these waves. So what are these waves? Let me play the video for you. Or I'm gonna spoil it. They're called gravity waves, and just so to make sure they're not confused with gravitational waves, like the kind that LIGO is recording. That storm is boiling there.
Wow, never seen anything like that before ever.
Well, I'm good. I can bring this to you. Yeah. The waves must have been centered on top of the storm. So you can see there are 6 cameras here, and there were a couple more. I had 3, and Paul had obviously more. So just a couple of, so these are atmospheric gravity waves. Gravity waves are an example of gravity waves are those waves in a pond. If you throw a rock, you displace the fluid, the fluid comes back to equilibrium, but overshoots, goes higher than the equilibrium position, then the gravity will pull it down, and the motion will propagate just like any other wave. The same thing happens in the atmosphere. I was surprised just recently at North-South Lake. Um, and I have a camera which is modified to capture the infrared, and I said, let me try infrared below, I should say, wavelength higher than 720 nanometers. That's the filter that I used. To the right, you have a picture that I took for some other reason at about the same time. The sky is perfectly clear, while the picture on the left obviously shows something. So these are gravity waves. They are made. How can I put this? Infrared is not light polluted, so it's easier to see the gravity waves. There are differences in the density of the air and perhaps humidity, whatever it is, which makes them sort of stand out. Atmospheric gravity waves is nothing special. They are noticed in satellite pictures and very common. What's kind of new and the surprise to me is that I could actually capture them with an infrared modified camera. So let's see. So this comes to an end here. I was going to show you this video that I made at Blatchford Lodge, which is 60 miles into the wilderness from Yellowknife. You can go there only by plane, float plane, on a lake. And I was on a trip there organized by the Cloud Appreciation Society. I had not been feeling well while in Yellowknife. I went on, and while there, I took the test, and it came out positive. And the moment the lodge manager found out, he said, "We have to evacuate you." But they still let me spend that night there. Actually, they didn't, not because of their goodness, but they could not find a pilot to come and pick me up. So I put my camera out and I left it run for 6 hours, or as long as the batteries lasted. It was an exceptional night. So you're going to see 6 hours of in 4 minutes, if you have the patience. I invite you to ask me questions. I turn the volume down a bit. So notice the position of the Big Dipper, and notice what it will be at the end. For Aurora, I recommend a lens the focal length shorter than 14, maybe 12. It's very high. Or vertical shots, but you just gotta capture the whole thing. There was the trip leader who wanted to check what's happening.
Can you see the pinks with your naked eye, George, or is it only with the camera that you can see those pinks and lavenders?
People, I don't think you can see all the colors, but you do see some of the red and pink. I could see the red sky on October 10, I think, or 8, what was last year. I could see the sky was red. I could see the sky was red in Whitehorse. Here, I did say at some point, does anybody see some red? But I wasn't sure. And there was a painter among us, and he said, yes, I see a lot. Paul Smith sees a lot of colors too, and the sprites and the trained eye. Checkpoint on the Big Dipper.
There was a little bit of blue there near the dipper.
Yeah, there's the blue and
Magenta, purple.
Pink, orange. Yeah, there's a lot of colors in that.
and those clouds actually brought a little rain. I found my camera was a little wet, not damaged or anything, but
Here's a couple questions that might pertain to that one. Arlene asks, what kind of batteries do you use for long night sessions? And then do you use a dew heater on your lens?
I did not use a dew heater here. That was pretty dry. I sometimes, fairly often, I do use a dew heater. It means that I have to carry an extra battery. My Sony batteries, I can count on time lapses for, let's say, 4 hours. This one lasted 6 hours to my surprise. The batteries, as they age, are not that good. So I have external batteries that I can connect, and they'll last the whole night. It's pretty easy to do that.
And Stephen asked, how many photos did this last video take?
Almost 4,000. And I did not miss one frame. I accelerated the movement where it was kind of not very interesting, but I did not drop any frames. So you saw 4,000 frames.
Amazing.
Yeah. I had a slide just in case people want more. But it is like, for instance, my latest, which is not really finished, but Great Towers is mentioned. It's a national historic monument right next to me here, and I managed, and this is dealing with the government. I managed to get a photography permit at night. It took 3 years. Management changed, and they were more helpful. And I used my infrared converted camera. this is in darkness, and then the lights came on out of my control. Which gave this eerie, dramatic effect. But again, the sky is so clear despite the light pollution. So Stan, I know you have an infrared camera with a 720 nanometer filter.
Yeah, it actually does cut through some of like the haze or some clouds often.
Well, try at night
I've done that, yeah.
in New York.
In New York, not so good, but out in the wilderness, it actually works pretty well.
So one thing I like in this video is the reflections of the star trails in the windows. The other interesting thing is that they probably have some surveillance cameras and so on. I could not see any lights inside, but this is a pretty brightly lit window, or I think it's actually a door, but must be all infrared. You don't see anything. Anyway, this was a little bonus. I'm pretty much done, unless you want more.
Thanks, George. That was great.
All right. So then
George, just such awe-inspiring work. I mean, I'm blown away. I don't have words to express how wonderful your work is.
well, thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing it.
I enjoyed all of that, George. Thank you very much for having me on for this. Greatly
George,
appreciate
you're
it.
going to put your in the chat, put your a link so we can come and see more of your work. Make sure you put that in for us.
Oh, it's in the invite. It's if you have my email address, GV, that's my first middle name initials, and PREO, which is the first four letters of my last name at Gmail.com. That's my email address, and also on Instagram, my handle on Instagram, on Vimeo as well.
Some of the links are on the Hampton Observatory, the website. The description of George is in the event description for tonight.
And a little bit earlier in the chat, I had posted some links to George's work. Just tried throwing another one in there.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you so very much, George. And you too, Stan. I mean, it was a wonderful, wonderful experience, and we learned so very much. And Lydia, too. Thank you for introducing us, George.
Yeah, getting me into
pleasure.
trouble. Thank you.
Phenomenal work.
I'm really grateful. Thank you.
And thanks to everybody who attended tonight. Very much appreciate it. And we'll have a video if you'd like to watch this again, and I can't imagine you not wanting to do so, on Hampton's Observatory's YouTube channel, probably in a couple of weeks. Again, thank you so much, George, Stan. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, George. Thank you, Donna. Thanks, Stan. See you next one.
Be well. Bye.
Be well.